Hi everyone, welcome to part 1 of the visual guide for the Orbonne Monastery. This is the newest 24-man alliance raid made available by patch 4.5 in Final Fantasy XIV, A Requiem for Heroes. Since this raid is quite long, I'll be dividing the visual guide into 2 parts. This first part covers the first 2 bosses. If you're looking for the last 2 bosses, check out the link in the description below. My name is MTQ and I'll be your raid guide. We begin with a few trash pulls. When the Harpies cast Devitalize, be sure to turn away or you will be afflicted with doom and probably die, especially if your healers aren't paying attention. A few waves of adds will spawn and you'll need to watch for a number of AoEs and heavy damage on the tanks. The first boss is Mustadio. Energy bursts will do high raid-wide damage that must be healed through. Arm shot will target the primary target for high damage. Cooldown and heal through this as necessary. Right handgun will cause a massive conal AoE to target his right side. Players will need to be on the other side to dodge. This is followed by left handgun, which will do the same attack but from the left side. Eventually, the boss will move to the middle and cast maintenance, tethering to adds on the outer edge of the platform. These adds will target the platform directly in front of them with large column AoEs. Players must identify which adds are being activated and predict where the AoE attacks will land and move into a safe zone. Next up, players will be targeted by the spotlight AoEs. These AoEs will follow the player before finally stopping and blasting the area. Targeted players will need to move away to safety. When the boss casts analysis, he will determine your weakness and mark you up for it. You'll notice a circle marker on your character with a gap in it. Everywhere but the gap itself is a weak spot. As soon as you're able to move, you'll need to position yourself to have the gap of the marker face the boss in the north. If done correctly, you'll take massive damage and be stunned for a short while. If you do it incorrectly, you will die. This will happen throughout the encounter with the boss possibly changing position on the platform, so be ready. Leg shot will cause a number of mines to spawn on the platform. Hitting one of these mines will do high damage and afflict you with paralysis, so be sure to move away from these as necessary. The next maintenance cast will repair adds on the platform itself. These adds will then cover their quadrants with massive AoE squares. Players should identify which adds are being repaired and move out of that area. You can use the lines on the platform to determine how big the incoming AoEs will be. Ballistic missile will mark up players with these circle AoEs. They'll need to spread away to avoid overlapping damage. This may occur in conjunction with other AoE attacks, so be ready. From this point on, maintenance casts will repair both the platform and side adds, creating more complicated patterns of AoE blasts. This may take some practice, but players need to quickly identify the resultant safe spots and stand in them as soon as possible to avoid damage and debuffs. These mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. Remember to always face the gap of your marker to the side the boss is sniping from and avoid all of the AoE blasts. The second boss is AGRIAS. Divine Light will deal raid-wide damage. Thunder Slash will target the primary target with a large frontal cone. This does massive damage, so be sure not to be standing in front of the boss if you're not a tank with cooldowns up. You'll notice a number of circles spawn on the platform with shields on them. Stepping into this circle will grant you a shield buff, allowing you to use your duty action button to create a very powerful shield directly in front of you. Anytime these circles pop up, the boss will cast Judgment Blade, which will deal massive damage, knock you back, and stack vulnerability up debuffs. You'll need to grab the shield buff and then position yourself facing the boss. Use the duty action to create the shield and wait until the cast goes off. Moving will break the shield, so be sure to sit in place until the damage goes off. Cleansing Flame will mark up players with large circle AoEs. Spread these apart to avoid overlap. When the boss casts Cleansing Strike, an entire alliance will be stunned and marked by these sword icons. They will then be sucked into the center, afflicted with doom, and transported into the confessional. Here, they will need to destroy waves of tortured souls before they reach the center and explode for high damage and debuffs. A sword circle will also appear that will grant players the sword duty action. Players will need to use this duty action on the taintless souls that spawn with shields on them before they get off their Dark Flare casts. The last few waves will have both tortured and tainted souls, and you'll need to split up the group to ensure both sets of adds are destroyed before they explode. You'll want to kill all of the adds before your doom timer ends to be returned back to the platform and avoid death. While this is happening to one alliance, the other 2 alliances will deal with more mechanics on the platform. After the alliance gets sucked into the center, 2 sword circles will appear on the platform. Each player should grab the sword buff in preparation for the next mechanic. The boss will then cast Consecration and imprison one alliance in hallodoms that can only be destroyed using the sword duty action. At the same time, a number of night adds will spawn on the edge and target the imprisoned players with long column AoEs. The free alliance will need to run around and free their friends with the duty action button, and then move into safe zone before the cast go off. Hallowed Bolt will mark up 2 players with massive AoE attacks that either show up as a point blank AoE and then a donut AoE, or vice versa. Find a safe spot and avoid as necessary. These mechanics will repeat for a while until the boss returns to the center, becomes invulnerable, and begins to channel her Holy Blade gauge. Shield circles will appear, and everyone should dip into them to grab that duty action. 3 large knight adds will spawn on the platform and should be picked up by each tank. 2 of the knights will eventually cast Mortal Blow, and the players can use their shield duty actions to avoid the damage. A short while after, the shield knight will tether to a number of invulnerable shield adds. Sword circles will also spawn during this time. As soon as you shield through that Mortal Blow damage, you can run into a sword circle to pick up the duty action and use it to destroy the tethered shields, releasing the shield knight and making him vulnerable to damage again. The raid will need to destroy all of these adds before the boss reaches 100 on her gauge, or you will die to Heavenly Judgment. Stack up for shields and heals for the ultimate blast. Next, the boss will cast Divine Ruination. This is a large conal attack on a random player that can be avoided by using the shield duty action button in the same manner. At this point, you've seen every mechanic, and they will repeat until the boss is down. If you're looking for info on the last 2 bosses, make sure you check out part 2 of this video. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.